So, this hunk of a man who thinks about the Maya 5 times a day is me. And I'm not having a good day. I both made the worst wallet I've ever made and absolutely failed, just atrociously, at making sourdough. Not an exceptionally bad day by any means. In fact, when comparing this to graduate school, this would have been a pretty good day, since at least I was doing things I enjoyed. But being in that situation for so long, my body and mind only really developed one reaction to stress. No matter if it's real danger or just fucking up a loaf of bread. My reaction to anything is to light the beacons of Minas Tirith and man the cannons. It's like I have PTSD, but I didn't even do anything cool to earn it, like kill somebody or go to war. This, for obvious reasons, is not optimal. And while it's good to always be ready to drive into the storm, windows up, music blaring, and with an unstoppable if I die mentality, most things in life don't really require that. So let's get into my day and what I did about it. Starting with the bread. I had never made sourdough in my life, but I've always loved baking and I've always been good at it. While they may not have been perfect, I've never baked something that didn't turn out good. Except for that fucking Mary Berry British Bake Off goddamn cake. The bane of my very existence. That sly British bastard and her goddamn creme de tartar fucking haunts me. Sorry, I was having flashbacks. Anyways, allow me to show you how to not make sourdough. First, you can see me using starter, which is clearly not ready. Not enough bubbles, doesn't float the way I wanted it to. Just all around way too early. It probably doesn't help that my apartment is 60 degrees and haunted. I hear ghosts aren't good for sourdough, being their inability to rise. She's nice, but she also uses the term Oriental to describe things other than rugs, so I don't really know if I want her around anymore. Now you can see me fighting for my life and losing, trying to knead the dough. Here I almost lose my cutting board, and roughly at this point, much like when I saw my first government paycheck, I begin to fear that I've made a mistake. I spent so much time on this dough, and with so little change, it reminds me of my relationships before I realized I can't fix people. Good times. Now, I am letting it rise, and maybe it's because the dough can hear my negative self talk, but unlike the sea, it did not rise. However, like the absolute fool I am, I thought it would get better. I would say I have the hubris of a Greek protagonist, but deep down I knew that this would not work, and it was all a comically bad folly. However, while Mama didn't raise a bitch, she did raise a dumbass, and I continued flying towards the sun on my wings made of the cheapest wax. Here you can see them in their final fruitless proof. After this, it was so bad I simply couldn't keep going and threw them away. They didn't rise, and they had completely hardened exterior. So while it hurt to throw them away, I had to just to hide my shame. I also didn't film this because I really couldn't live in a world where there was evidence of how horribly I fucked up this bread. Now to the wallet. Up until this point, I used patterns to create my wallet. Outlines created by more accomplished leather workers, which you can use to make your own wallets. However, this was the first wallet I wanted to make without a pattern. Inspired by another wallet I saw, I began to make my own pattern and began to cut out the leather. Everything seemed to be going well until just about everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Maybe it was the nerves from filming or just self sabotage, but the entire process felt off. First, I realized I cut a pattern incorrectly on one piece. Then, when manually trying to thin the leather down so the wallet wouldn't be as thick or heavy, I cut through the leather several times. I feel ashamed to say how many pieces of leather I had to recut for this wallet. It was too many, and I began feeling bad for wasting bison. It was rough. Here, as an intermission to my failures, is a shot I thought would be very cool of me hammering into leather for hand sewing. And I have to say, I still think this is a cool shot. God damn. Look at that slab of meat just waiting to be objectified. Look at him. Just not knowing how to move his body. You know, one day you'll grow into that barrel chest, my sweet, sweet, sturdy bison. I'm sorry. Now back to the issues at hand. Sewing. This is without a doubt the hardest thing I've ever had to sew. I do not understand how. I must have put the holes askew from a piece to another. Eventually, I had to break out the big tools to get the needle through. This went on for too long, and I have enough cuts and scrapes in my hand that an ounce of lemon juice on them would make me admit to any crime. Hell, I'd even visit fucking Oklahoma, the worst state objectively in the union. And it turned out like this: truly the worst wallet I have made. And for the rest of the night, I just kind of sat in this feeling of failure, beating myself up, being extraordinarily negative to myself, which sadly is a feeling that I've gotten kind of used to over the past few years. But I didn't want to let it take me over. So the next day, I decided to take it slow and just relax, to think. Here I am lighting up a candle to ward off the ghosts of lost causes and their bullshit ideology. It works surprisingly well, actually. And then I just kind of began to clean, and it helped me relax and really think about the previous day. Here you can see me folding clothes. Ignore the holes in my undergarments. That occurs from the thunderous applause of my thighs that give me disadvantage on all my stealth checks, like I'm wearing heavy armor. And here you see me taking a break to eat beans from the pot and drink a Dr. Pepper because at heart I am a cowpoke from the Great Depression. Not much more to say about this. Back to the clothes. And at this point, I'm starting to feel a lot better, and I'm realizing what I learned about the previous day. First, I'd been so eager to be the person I was before grad school that I kind of set myself up for failure. Three sourdough starters for someone who's never made it before, and then beating myself up at every step along the way because it wasn't perfect. Not to mention, baking at 7,200 feet is very different from where I've done all the other baking in my life. So, as sad as it is, decided to cut down to one starter, the one that I initially made from juniper berries. And next time around, I'm going to take it a lot more slowly. For the wallet, sure. Did it come out horribly? Yes. Objectively, yes. And I don't blame you for averting your eyes. But now I know I can improve it. For example, I want to make it a little taller so the cards fit better, and I need to work on finding a better method to thin leather. As I was cleaning my apartment and kind of thinking out loud to myself, it really became apparent that I need to be a lot nicer to myself. Allow myself to learn and be bad at things. Because you can't get good at something in a day, but you can definitely get better. And with my wallets, baking, and mental health, all I can do is try to slowly get better. And that's what I'm going to do. I've, for really my whole life, been so scared of failure and so negative towards myself that it's prevented me from growing a lot. And I need to take this, as with everything else, one day at a time. And if anyone watching this feels like me, let's be nicer to ourselves and let's try to get better together.